YouTube, what is going on? It is your boy Sports Culture, and I'm back with another video here today. And this video is going to be a 7-round mock draft for the LA Rams. And this was a team that was very close to stealing a playoff game from the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia. It really came down to that one final drive by Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams. This is a team that, in my opinion, got way better during this offseason. Yes, they did lose Cooper Kupp, but they signed Davante Adams, who's still one of the premier and top wide receivers in the league. And that's a huge signing for Matthew Stafford and just this offensive scheme in general. They get a legit X wide receiver in Davante Adams, so you can put at the top of the screen or at the top of the offensive scheme or play, or at the boundary, I should say. And he could win off the line with his releases and route running. And then you could still do what you want with Puka Nacua in terms of putting him in motion, because he does a lot of good work when he's in motion. So I feel like this offense next year is going to be more explosive. I expect a big year for Matthew Stafford, and probably like a Puka Nacua or Davante Adams. One of those guys is going to go off. Kyren Williams, still a very top and explosive running back in the league. This offensive line is solid. I would say it's a solid unit. You could probably get a younger tackle in there just to develop one. But I think this is a very solid offense. I don't think I got to worry too much about it in this mock draft. Defensively, I like to get a bigger nose tackle in the middle. I think Poona Ford, they did sign him, and I think he could play the nose tackle position, but I want to get another guy into that room. Linebacker-wise, they could definitely add some more talent. And then cornerback-wise, I think they got a lot of serviceable and solid guys in that room, but in this mock draft, I'm definitely going to address that cornerback room and add some more like younger and talented, bigger guys into that room. So without further ado, man, let's get right into this mock draft. I also forgot to say, too, that this team could probably use another tight end because Tyler Higbee is getting older. I still think he's solid when he's on the football field, but he is getting older. And Colston Loveland is on the board, but hear me out, Rams fans. I know this is probably like the best pick for you guys right here. This would be sick to add Colston Loveland, basically a receiver that plays tight end, into this offense. I mean, Sean McVay would do some wonders with this guy, but I'm thinking about trading back. I really do like the idea of trading back for this team. They don't got that many. I mean, they got draft picks in this year's draft class, but they don't got high-quality picks. I mean, our second pick wouldn't be till pick 90. So I definitely want to get some more high-level picks in this year's draft class just to get some more talent defensively, and maybe on that offensive line just to build some more guys up, and maybe even a tight end for this team. So I'll get back to you guys when I find a trade. So I made a trade with the New England Patriots. We're going to pick 26 on me and 201. And in return, we're getting picked 38, 69, and 144. So not a bad trade back by any means. We're going down 12 picks. Hopefully, we can still get a player that I really do like for this team. But I still think that getting picked 38, 69, and 144 is not bad for a team that wouldn't have their next pick till 90. So, huge for this team. So, here we are, pick 38, and hear me out. I was thinking about going Josh Connerly Jr. just to get a tackle for the future for this team. But I'm going to go cornerback, and I'm going to go with Trey Amos, the cornerback from Ole Miss. Look, this Rams team, they have some solid dudes. Quentin Lake, he's solid, he's serviceable. Darius Williams, shoulder around 5'9", was better early on in his career. Is kind of, in my opinion, kind of regressing. Like he had a solid year this year. He's serviceable, but who's the other guy? Kobe Durant. Now he's serviceable. Also a little bit on the shorter side as well at the cornerback position. But I feel like you could upgrade from all three of these guys. I think you could add another talent to that room. And Trey Amos is a very talented cornerback in this year's draft class. He's 6'1", 190. Has some length to him. Very good at man. Very good in zone coverage. Very good in just press in general, whether that's in zone or man. And I think that's a huge thing for this Rams team because they played a fair amount of zone coverage last year. I want to say they played, this is just off the top of my head, someone correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I want to say they played the 8th to 9th to 10th most zone coverage in the league last year defensively. So I think Trey Amos has the second best ball skills in this year's draft class, one of the better ball skills in general in this year's draft class at his position. And I think he's really good when he's in zone coverage, and he's very good when he's able to play in the flats. Uses lengthy body, uses very good recovery speed in a short area distance. Because I'd say like long area distance or long speed wise, it's questionable with Trey Amos, but in a short area distance, when he's able to look at the quarterback, keep his eyes on the quarterback, this dude's able to make some really good plays. This year, played in 13 games, allowed 32 receptions on 62 targets for 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, and had 3 interceptions and a passer rating of 54.5. He's just a very lengthy dude, and I feel like, the Rams need height on the boundary. I know Quentin Lake is the nickelback, and he's the tallest dude in the cornerback room right now, but I feel like they just need more length on the cornerback position on the boundary, and I feel like Trey Amos would be very productive and very good for this Rams team. He's also a very good run defender. I don't see many Rams mock drafts pick Trey Amos. I don't know how many Rams mock drafts go cornerback in the first round, But to me, I feel like Trey Amos is a guy who could be very, very good in his first year, get a lot of turnovers for an NFL team. And I feel like just in general, this Rams team just needs more talent and length at the cornerback position. And Trey Amos is the guy that provides that. So here we are at pick 69 for the LA Rams, and I was thinking about Elijah Arroyo, the tight end from Miami, or Omar Norman-Lott, the defensive lineman from Tennessee. But I'm actually going to go down just a little bit, and I'm going to go with Chris Paul Jr., I'm going to go back-to-back Ole Miss players. I did not expect that for this mock draft, but I'm going to go Chris Paul Jr. He is the best linebacker available right now, the linebacker from Ole Miss, and I really do like him and his athleticism for this defense. Right now, you guys only have Omar Spears and Tony Fields. I want to say Tony Fields, yeah, who probably didn't even play snaps last year. If he didn't play that many. Omar Speights, though, solid, but you could definitely add some more talent to that room. Tony Fields, like I said, didn't really play that many snaps. I'm not even sure if that's his name, but I do know they have his first name or last name is Fields. I know he didn't play that many snaps last year for the Rams, so you could definitely add another guy to that room. And Chris Paul Jr., 6'1", 235, 22 years old. In my opinion, man, when I watched a lot of these Ole Miss, edges and watched Walter Nolan's film this year, Chris Paul Jr. was a guy who always just popped out, man. Yes, he had a good defensive line, but this dude knew how to fill that gap when his defensive line made it available, and he would come through 110 miles per hour and hit you, man. He's a very, very good run defender, in my opinion. Is a little bit undersized and doesn't have the biggest frame, and his arm length isn't that crazy, so he could get held up on blocks here and there, but when he's able to just shoot up the gap, and play off ball, really, really good, man. As a coverage linebacker, I think he's solid. I think he has the speed to get better, but I just really like him for this team, man, to play the off-ball linebacker position in this 3-4 defense. And him, Omar Speights, that could be a very solid linebacker duo in the middle for this team. I just think his speed, his size, him going sideline to sideline with some of these other guys that are really athletic on that defensive line would be very good. Average depth of run tackle, which is a huge thing. You want to see that 2.6. So he's tackling guys before they even get 3 yards on their rush. Missed tackle rate, 4.5. That is elite. So with this pick, we are going Chris Paul Jr., the linebacker from Ole Miss. I don't know how many Rams fans or just how many people in general pick him for Rams mock drafts, but I think him on this defense would be very fun. So here we are, pick 90 for the LA Rams. And with this pick, I am going to go with Harold Fannin Jr., the tight end from Bowling Green. And he's definitely not the best pass blocker or just blocker in general. I wouldn't want to use him as a blocker, at least right now, in any offense. I do think he could get better. I do think he can. But just right now, he's not the best blocker. But as a tight end, as someone that could run routes, as someone that could just get open, I think he's very, very good. He's not one of those guys that are super athletically given or explosive at the tight end position. I know everybody thought he was at the beginning of the year, but at least to me, when I watched film at times, it looked like he was super stiff here and there, was running with lead in his shoes, but he's just one of those guys that have a knack of getting open, knows when to tempo his routes when zone coverage is in front of him, knows when to tempo his routes, just get open, make himself available. Has the ability after the catch to, I wouldn't say make guys miss, but he's like a physical runner. He could get some yards, but he's just one of those guys that as a tight end, as a route runner, whether you put him outside or you have him inside, he is a very good route runner. Like, he just knows how to get open, make himself available for the quarterback, and I think that's a huge thing at the NFL level. I don't think he's going to be this explosive, elite, take the top off the defense tight end, like anything like that, but I think he's a guy who could definitely get open, the middle part of the field, maybe the outside, run some really crafty routes in the middle, like chair routes, double routes, things like that, etc., and just make himself available. I think he's just a smart route runner when it comes to those things like that. Had a fantastic year this year, man. Like, a really, really good year this year. One of the more productive years from a tight end. Had 1,500 yards this year, 117 receptions on 150 targets, 13.3 yards after receptions, 10 touchdowns. Played a little bit of everywhere. Played 168 snaps in line. Played 139 snaps in the slot. So I just like his versatility as a route runner, as a tight end. He's kind of like a big body receiver if you think about it. I think Sean McVay would do one hell of a job scheming plays open and getting creative with a guy like Harold Fannin Jr. And him, Devontae Adams, Puka, Tutu Atwell, Kyron Williams. I mean, that just sounds like a very explosive offense. And Tyler Higbee as well. Can't forget about Tyler Higbee. So with this pick, we are going with Harold Fannin Jr. just to give us another tight end and weapon for this offense and Matthew Stafford. So here we are, pick 101 for the Rams. And with this pick, I was going to go with Deion Walker or C.J. West, because I feel like they could use probably another big guy in the middle. And I feel like Deion Walker would definitely be a guy that could play that athletic A-gap for a 3-4 defense, or a nose tackle, I should say. But with this pick, I'm going to go with Anthony Belton. I feel like this guy could actually be developed into a franchise tackle. He's 6'6", 330 plus pounds. Yeah, 6'6", 336 pounds. Very solid pass blocker. I know his PFF grade right here is super high. I'd say as a pass blocker, he's very solid. I think he has like okay footwork. I think for a guy that's as big as he is, he lets guys get to his chest a little bit too much. But I think he's a guy who could definitely develop and get better on that aspect. But as a run blocker, I'm surprised his run block grade is a little bit lower, because I think he's a molar. Like, he's a guy that once you get to that second level, once you get it out in space, he hits dudes, and when he's one-on-one in front of guys and he's able to get his hands on them first, he has some power and he's able to really drive guys back. Played in 12 games this year, allowed 3 sacks, one quarterback hit, and 8 hurries. I think he's more of a developmental guy for at least a year per se, but if the Rams want to start him right off the bat, they definitely could. But I like to see him be developed more. I think this is a guy who would definitely be a franchise quarterback. I'm not a franchise quarterback. What am I talking about? A franchise tackle for this LA Rams team. What are their analysis right here? Good length and raw power at 345 pounds. Mauls opposing defensive lineman when he has a clean shot. More explosive than expected. Gets to second level with ease. Stonewalls power rushers with strength and pass protects. Hard to bull rush him. Lacks high end lateral quickness. Some issues with speed rushers. Late hands and protection. Often led defenders into his chest. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Right there. Footwork needs work, causes him to be off balance at times. So with this pick, we are going Anthony Belton, and hopefully one of these defensive linemen I was just talking about are still on the board, or I will make a trade up for one of those guys. But with this pick, we are going Anthony Belton. So I made a trade down with the New York Jets. We're getting them 127 and 202 for 145 and 186. The guy I was going to go with right here, actually two of them were going to be J.J. Pegues, just to get some more guys on that defensive front. And more importantly, the interior, or Riley Mills. Both those guys got taken. And I don't really like any of the defensive linemen right here in this area. So I am going to trade back just a little bit and get one of those guys later on. So here we are at pick 144. And I really did want to trade down even more, man. I really don't want to select anybody at these picks. I feel like these next two picks are really going to be reaches. So don't get mad at me in the comments. I already told you guys that they are going to be reaches. With this pick, we are going with Simeon Barrow Jr., who I do kind of like. I was hoping to get him a little bit later, though. He's 6'2", 6'3", 290, 22 years old. He has some solid athleticism from the interior. I was looking more of just a bigger body guy that could play more of the A-gap, but Simeon Barrow Jr. is a guy who has some really good athleticism from the middle and has some pass rush upside as well. So had 7 sacks this year, 2 quarterback hits, 21 hurries, and zero better passes. Played mainly over the B-gap, had a run defense grade of 84.0. I don't know where the Rams are going to play Poona Ford. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I think he could play nose tackle in the middle. I know he's not the biggest dude in the world at 5'11", but he's a really good run defender, has some really good power. But let's say they want to keep Poona Ford at the edge or in the middle. If they do want to put him at the middle. Simeon Barrow Jr. is just more depth, and I do like this guy's athleticism from the interior. So with this pick, we are going Simeon Barrow Jr., and then my next pick is probably going to be a little bit of a reach. So here we are, pick 145 for the Rams. And like I said, this pick was going to be more of a reach. But I really do like Josh Joyner from Minnesota. And this is just to get more depth behind Jared Verse and Byron Young, who are two very young and up-and-coming game wreckers in the NFL. Josh Joyner, I really do like his size at 6'5", 260-ish. Yeah, 6'5", 265. Has some juice from the edge, man. If you haven't heard about Josh Joyner, I recommend watching some clips on him or highlights on YouTube or Twitter, whatever it is, because he has some really solid juice from the edge, man. Had 3 sacks this year, 6 quarterback hits, 22 hurries, and 3 batted passes. The previous year, 9 sacks, 8 hits, and 29 hurries. So 2 solid back-to-back productive years in terms of hurries, and even the previous year, 3 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, and 23 hurries. So like I said, if you haven't heard about Josh Joyner, I recommend just looking him up just to see what he's about. Has some juice from the edge, has some pass rush moves in his arsenal. He's not going to be a starter for this team. He's just more of a depth piece, just to bring more depth behind guys like Byron Young and Jared Verse, who are 2 very young and up-and-coming players in this league. So with this pick, we are going Josh Joyner, the edge from Minnesota. So here we are, pick 186, and with this pick, I'm going to go quarterback Kyle McCord from Syracuse. Matthew Stafford is getting older. He's 37 years old. I do expect him to play till the 2026 season, so another 2 years. But Kyle McCord, 22 years old, 6'3", 220, could sit behind Matthew Stafford for the next 2 to 3 years and definitely develop. I think he's somebody who's fairly underrated in this year's draft class in terms of quarterbacks. This is somebody who I think could really sling the football very well, really accurate, plays on time, has a fast release or a solid release, I'd say. Stays poised in the pocket, has really good footwork, could read zone coverage very well. In terms of arm strength and arm power, I don't think it's anything impressive or anything elite like that, but The dude is really, really accurate and plays on time. And I feel like in a system with Sean McVay or a Sean McVay system, he could be really good for this team. Maybe could be possibly the franchise quarterback post Matthew Stafford era. Who knows? But with this pick, we are going Kyle McCord, the quarterback from Syracuse, who had 4,760 passing yards this year, 34 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions, and a passer rating of 101. So with this pick, we are going with maybe the future at quarterback post Matthew Stafford era. So here we are at pick 190, and with this pick, I'm going to go Jalen Smith, the cornerback from USC. I know I drafted Trey Amos with the first pick. Yeah, with the first pick for this mock draft. But I definitely feel like we could, or the Rams could upgrade over Quentin Lake. I feel like he's very on and off. And, Jalen Smith, a little bit undersized at 5'10", 5'11"-ish to 190. I think could play that nickelback position. I think he could play inside very well. Very DJ Reed-like in terms of like a player comparison. The dude's like very pesky, very physical, especially in man coverage. Likes to get his hands on guys. This year played in 12 games, allowed 26 receptions on 42 targets for 289 receiving yards, 0 touchdowns, had 2 interceptions for himself, and a pass rating of 62.5. The reason I said he could play nickelback, I do think he could play boundary as well because he did play a lot of boundary this year. Previously in 2023 and 2022, that's what he played. He played in the slot, he played by the line of scrimmage inside, and I think at the next level, because of his size and because of his limited athleticism, I'd say, he's more of a nickelback, and I just feel like he could probably be an instant upgrade, or at least a guy that can compete with Quentin Lake for that nickelback position. So with this pick, we are going Jalen Smith, the defensive back from USC. So here we are with the final pick for the LA Rams for this mock draft at 195. And we're going to go with Jay Higgins, man. I think this guy is instinctively very good. He plays the linebacker position very well. I know didn't kill at the combine, isn't the most athletically given guy at the linebacker position per se, but he's someone who I think plays the linebacker position well, man. And one of the better coverage linebackers in this year's draft class as well. 6'2", 230 pounds, 23 years old this year in 2024. Had 72 tackles, 40 assisted tackles, and 12 missed. Also had a coverage grade of a 91.5 and a missed tackle rate of a 9.7. Would like to see this average depth of run tackle be a little bit better, but I mean, a 3.7 isn't bad. At least he's not averaging 4 yards per tackle, I should say. Allowed 27 receptions on 36 targets for a 75 completion rate, and allowed 1 touchdown and got 4 interceptions this year, and a passer rating of 57.2. So I think he's one of the better coverage linebackers in this year's draft class. I know the athleticism isn't there and didn't really kill at the combine, but this dude is very instinctive. I feel like, when he's on the mode, I wouldn't say on the mode, but when he's playing well, he's always in the right area. In terms of pass coverage, he's able to take away the middle of the field very, very well. And this is the LA Rams team that just needs more guys in that linebacker room, just needs more depth in general. And I feel like Jay Higgins could be a really good depth piece and potentially maybe a starter, man. I feel like this is really good depth where we're getting Jay Higgins. So with this pick, we are going with Jay Higgins, the linebacker from Iowa. So here's what PFF has graded my mock draft. With our first pick, we did go Trey Amos. They give us a B+. I think he's a day one starter for this team if they do draft him. Next pick, we did go Chris Paul Jr. I think the same thing. Day one starter if the Rams do draft him. Got to be right there. Howard Fannin Jr. probably be day one starter too if they do draft him. It'd be very close. I don't think he's an every down tight end per se, so maybe wouldn't be the starter because he can't really block that well right now. But as a receiving tight end and just a guy you could do a lot of things with, definitely would be out there a lot. Anthony Belton, I felt like was really good value. I think he could definitely be the franchise tackle for this team. In my opinion, needs a year to develop, but who knows? The LA Rams might put him out there. Simeon Barrow Jr., just another guy we could get on that interior defensive line, just another big body out there. Jaw Joyner, I said, was going to be a little bit of a reach from where we drafted him. Just didn't want to make another trade back and make this video so long. That was a D, but he's just more depth behind Jared Verse, and I think Jaw Joyner is a guy who's very underrated and a guy who could be a very productive and just very solid disruptor at the NFL level, especially in the later rounds in this year's draft class. Kyle McCord's a really good pick, man. I think this guy could probably be a serviceable system quarterback for this team post Matthew Stafford area. Jalen Smith, more depth for this cornerback room, could probably even be the nickelback starter. And then Jay Higgins, I thought that was phenomenal, a phenomenal pickup to end the draft. We are in the top 38%, got a B+. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about this mock draft, what you guys would do different. I was hoping to get a better defensive lineman for this team a little bit earlier, but it is what it is. It's been your boy Sports Culture. I'm out.